All right, now I'm going to take off the front wheel and I'll take off the caliper and try to fit that caliper bracket on here, but always, crack this loose first. This is a 22 before you break loose these little axle holder bolts. I think those are probably 10 or 12 or something like that. Okay, there's that. And then I like to unthread this a little bit more and just tap it with my hand so that I can get the rest of that. Got that guy pulled out. Put a little up tension on the wheel here. Slide it on out. Now, for those of you that are interested, I'm going to weigh these real quick and we'll figure out the weight difference between the dirt wheel and the street wheel. So, let's do that real quick. Okay, scale zeroed out. Here is the dirt wheel. We'll see how much that weighs. Looks like about 17 pounds and 6 ounces-ish. Obviously, I'm holding it, so it won't be perfect. All right, same thing with the little 17-incher. And if the dog will move, about 22 pounds. So a little bit heavier, but that's to be expected with, the kind of wheel setup this is, and it does have a lot bigger brake rotor, so take that into account. But altogether, not too bad. Okay, here's the little caliper. I'm gonna take these 2 bolts out, and then that should be everything that we need to do to be able to bolt on that little adapter. All right, it took me a second to figure out how that little adapter goes on, but basically it's gonna replace the stock one. So to get this off and apart, you're gonna have to pull off this little flathead guy, and that will give you access to the bolt to take out your pads, and then you're basically going to transfer this little dust boot over to the blue one and a couple little clips, things like that, basically everything that you would need off of this to make that work. So okay, I transferred over that little rubber boot and the little clip. Now I have to take off the stud, which I believe is Loctited in, and transfer that over to this as well, and then I'll be able to put this back together and put it on the bike. Okay, I'll try to show this as best as I can, but basically gonna get your new brake rotor thing going here, and I have this all upside down and backwards, but basically you're going to line this up and line that up and slide it on in. If I can do it. There we go. So now that that's all slid in, you can see this does like tilt the caliper basically back quite a bit. And now I can put my pads back in, put this pin back in, and then it'll be ready to go. All right, here we go, fully assembled. Got the pads back in, pins back in, and then basically this is just gonna bolt up just like your old one did, just like that. Okay, the wheel spacer thing was more self-explanatory than I was thinking. Basically, whichever spacer fits, that's the one you're gonna use. And you put the seals in as well. So I got that done. Now I will mount it all up. Okay, I got this figured out. I ended up having to use one of the stock spacers on this side because you can't put both of those black spacers that they send you. These are only for the brake rotor side, I believe, just to keep that distance correct. I swapped the stock rotor onto this wheel because the oversized one is just a little bit too thick for my caliper setup for some reason. I am not exactly sure why that is. Maybe I'm missing something, but I switch back and forth from dirt and street so much that it might actually make more sense to run 2 stock brake rotors anyway. And the brakes on this bike are awesome anyway, so I don't see any reason why not to do it. But I got this on here. I found it easier to take off the caliper altogether and then put the wheel on first and then do the caliper. That seemed way easier. You do have to reroute your brake line, obviously, to the outside instead of the inside because of how tight that fit is with that big wide wheel. But that is the wheel all mounted up. Now I'm gonna do the rear, and I bought a separate chain as well for the back wheel so that I can swap back and forth easier. But that's the plan. Okay, I got the little spacers on here. Basically, I just chose the ones that will fit, and you can just check by running your axle through, make sure that that's the right one. But it was, so got that all hooked up. Now I'm going to take off my dirt chain, put on the street chain. Okay, on the back I'm doing the same thing as the front, where I remove the caliper just temporarily. On my bike it's just a little slider, just so I could get the wheel up in there. I took off the little disc guard as well. Okay, just like the front, I had to take this off temporarily, just slide it off to get the wheel on. Once I got it on though, no problems. Looks like there's plenty of clearance for the chain there, even if it moves a little bit side to side. But if you're ever curious about chain tension, I have one of these guys. It's really nice. Just gives you a good gauge of where you're at. You just set it to your factory spec. This means it's loose, this means it's too tight, this means it's right where you want it. And it has the added benefit of holding the chain tight while you're adjusting your axle blocks. So that's what I use. It's like 50 bucks, I think, is what it costs. It's just BPA Racing chain tension or chain slack adjuster tool or something like that. But got them both mounted up, so give it a try and see how it works. This does have a master link on it as well, so I can just swap back and forth. Well, I got this thing all set up and finished. Looks awesome in my opinion. I took it for a little test drive, and I think I will go to a larger sprocket in the front as well. But for now, I'm gonna leave it like this until I get it registered and all that. But pretty sweet. Turned out nice. And I really like how all the lights look and everything. I have my plate light on there as well. And then I have the integrated high beam switch on here as well for the white lights. And then obviously we've got all the blinkers set up on here. You can see those. And then we've got the blinker in the back as well. And I just normally tape up this taillight wire with clear tape. That holds it up there nice and tight, so that's all you really have to do. But now it's time to switch over to the paddle tire there and go to the sand dunes.